Hi, everybody, and welcome to What's New TV's audio podcast, episode 3. I'm your host, Teddy Calderon, and today we're going to be talking about, is the local music business lacking investment, or for some, is the local creative industry lacking investment in Barbados? So I posted this question in my social media group, and I got a fair amount of feedback and started a few conversations that we will talk about. But there is a huge growing problem, and at some level it needs to be addressed. And I'll just try to focus on the important aspects of it, but I'll read the different responses. So here we go. Okay, so I'm not reading these in any specific order, but Brian says, it would be nice to have investment to support the industry, but the market space in Barbados is too small and the industry is influenced strongly by the seasonality of crop over. That in itself makes the investment non-lucrative. Also, the quality of songs are not mostly international, and again, that is not a good signal for more investment. So I want to say thank you for your comment, Brian, and brought up an interesting point of view. So let's read some more and then we'll get back to that. Okay, so Shamari says, I think there needs to be more outlets for creative people, and the government should start more platforms to accommodate live performances. So this next comment is from Anderson. He's in the What's New TV chat group, and he says, local entertainment lacking lots of investment, not just financial either. A lot of people aren't even emotionally invested enough. They don't want to invest the time. A place to showcase would be lovely, but we as musicians may have to do that on our own. As for TV programs, we can't just do the ones we've always done. The production levels got to improve so much, even down to the very cameras we use. I'm so sick of watching CBC News and seeing the journalists hidden in shadows because the camera can't focus through the contrast. It's an interesting point there as well, Anderson. We need to improve our current quality of content. So this comment from Christopher, he says, if you don't know nobody, nothing can happen for you in Barbados. As a creative, people is do the one thing, but it's all about favoritism. This next comment is from Empress Rowley, and she says, basically, your cost of living is really driving a wedge through what she does, because you can't just be an artist. You need to be an artist and still have a side job, but that side job is more dominant. Things like just gas to travel from one place is super expensive. Having to produce CDs, although she's getting requests for her music, it is very costly to produce CDs to give out, and it is a growing concern and a really struggle to be an artist because she's not working for the US dollar. Okay, so Fabian says, yes to the questions, lacking investment, but not necessarily to burst anyone's bubble. But there are places to showcase your work, like national TV, radio, online platforms, etc., social media, NIFCA, these are all outlets to showcase your work. Yes, Fabian, and well, that is true. The failing practices of these outdated business models are not giving way to encourage new cultural growth within Barbados, and to give the artists more economic inclusion into society. I don't just blame them. It's the whole structure and system which is currently outdated, and because it's working for some people, they don't want to see that change right away. But change has to come, because as technology moves forward aggressively and speedily, we must adapt, or we will fail in lots of areas that are currently critical to the development of society. Okay, so this next comment from Rivellino, he says, the foundation of all the creative industries is television. A thriving TV station, buying content, building artists and exposing talent. We live in an island that has one TV station that shows pure rubbish, doesn't show its people, develop shows. A TV show has all aspects of cultural industries: writing, music, performance, design, fashion, etc. He seems to be a bit pissed off about it. He continues to say, I'm here flying back from Mexico to develop 2 shows. I had to fly to Mexico. So I developed the 2 TV plots with foreign companies. CBC can't pay me for nothing I do. I give them free and license it to other countries. Thank you for that short note, Riv. And yes, creative people do need an outlet to get their works out. Some people can say there's social media, but we still need, to have that national involvement. There's a national television station that showcase it. We only have one, so why is it so hard? Why is it so difficult? And we can see how the creative community now is suffering for the fact that there's no access to funding. There's no access to get your stuff on national TV, even if you do some things for free. To inspire others and to show what you got, basically. So let's move on with more comments. Okay, so this next voice note comment from Tamara, she basically says there needs to be better marketing and awareness campaigns for some of these workshops that teach creative persons how to invest in their craft and build their craft out. And also there's a need for more business development. This next comment is from Scene's Entourage, and he says there's a need for a greater business development because some creatives don't know how to make money from their projects. This next comment is from businessman Curtis Padmore. He says, honestly, I think all of the creative economy lacks investment, including the music sector. However, the NCF offers a number of things that creatives can use at lower than average prices, so you can give them a call. This next comment is from Joshua, and he thinks that local artists lack investment. They don't get any support, and you don't get anything for your talent in Barbados. Okay, so Dapper Dan says it's lacking in lots of areas: development, TV programming, a creative space, and strategic people to help develop the industry more. Okay, this next comment is from Trevor Gittins, and he says there should be greater investment in live music, not as a handout but as a partnership. Live music would enhance our tourism product, whether it is for dining in hotels or dancing in nightclubs or general listening in jazz clubs. Investment in local classical and jazz music could be done in the bolstering of festivals that would again provide greater attractions for tourists. Investment in music education can generate music festivals aimed at attracting schools from all over the world. And that's a good point, Trevor. I think there's already good points there as well. Let's continue with reading more comments. This next comment is from Melanie. She says, we are in need of a national space for creatives to create their content. There are spaces, but in my opinion, they aren't really and easily accessible spaces due to creative lack of funding to pay for them. Also, a greater need for business development for creatives. Music producer Stepper says, well, the local music business is lacking everything from creating a music industry where artists, producers, dancers, musicians can make a living, like how Trinidad and Jamaica is doing it. They generate lots of income for their countries, and in Barbados, people in the music industry struggle big time to get a loan to bring in new equipment to make music better. No sponsorship from companies, lack of our own music playing in our country, and even music producers that are creating music for the NCF events have to pay to enter these events. We should all treat each other fairly and build the industry up. Okay, so Nahli C says, I will say yes, the local music business is lacking investment in these areas. there needs to be a creative workshop and or space where creatives can come together to create content, because there are so many talented musicians, songwriters, singers, etc., but the opportunities are minimal. Also, TV programs, radio programs, online programs, podcasts, etc. need to be available to showcase these works so they can be viewed by a wider audience in Barbados and other countries. Okay, so this last comment is from Dennis, and he says, "When I think about what you have queried, I become so overwhelmed with dissatisfaction that you can never begin to imagine. I have seen and still seeing many talented individuals suffer for the opportunity to showcase their many creative abilities because there is nothing, no funding facilities, no building facilities, no investors, no open doors to radio or television, no opportunity to develop your skills in a major way, and it's a cry of every gifted person in Barbados. I've had talks with many persons who are in a position to assist but simply refuse to for reasons I could never figure out. And I am talking about financial institutions, company owners, individuals with certain facilities, etc., and still nothing. What amazes me is that all these folks share the same interest, complain about the same things, tell you what is lacking, and never does anything to help. It's hard to break through in the entertainment world, but it's almost impossible to make it happen in Barbados. The few things some people try is simply for trying's sake. The only thing really is the karaoke arena, where you get to leave the house for a few hours, and you know what? They invest in that. Barbadians are mediocre people. Very interesting comments there. I want to thank everybody for contributing their thoughts and what they are experiencing right now. To sum it up, we know there's lack of funding. The workshops that they have are not properly advertised. So is it merely lack of putting in the effort to reach those people who are not in the circles? Is this deliberately done, or are they saying you should get up and be proactive and find these workshops in our small little 166 square miles of island? But my personal experience is there's access to funding. However, it's very difficult. I would have said in my previous podcast some of the things they look at and what you need to kind of deal with. I think there needs to be more outlets, as we can hear from other persons who would have made their contribution. It is important that we have some of these infrastructures revamped. And we do need those outlets for creative people, not just one or two, because then we can see what problems we are having. And if we want to compete with the outside world and be the next famous YouTuber or famous whoever, we need to have these facilities to help us grow and to develop, and not just depend on one or two things, because to be fair, the government can't do everything, but they can help enable some things to happen. And a creative space most definitely is needed, not just for limited people, but for people who want to create. And the next thing I'll say is, okay, so we need funding. How much do we need? How are we going to spread out even so that it has a positive impact and it gets things going to where we want it to be? What is the vision of the creative industries in Barbados as we speak right now of 2019 moving swiftly into 2020? And it's questions, but we don't just want to be talking, we want to see some actions. And I do believe the minister is being proactive, and he will hear this podcast. It will be sent directly to him. And this is all good for him, because he can hear your thoughts and your views and your opinions, which is brilliant. So once again, I want to thank you all for sharing your personal views and comments. I am your host, Teddy Calderon, and this is What's New TV's podcast, episode 3. Stay tuned for more great podcasts coming to you soon. Peace.
round, but there's no going back. Cause I know for a fact this feeling won't last forever. I was out my mind, it was so damn fine. I was in a position, cause this was my time.